Respected President of Uzbekistan, Mr. Shavkat Mirziyoyev, respected United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Mrs. Michelle Bachelet, I, Mohammed Ali Prem Nazir, am the head of the Singapore company Profil Trading Private Limited and the founder of the foreign company Profil Enterprise, which has been operating in Uzbekistan for many years. I am appealing to you from the city of Tashkent, Republic of Uzbekistan. In January 2021, I had sent a written appeal to the Organization of UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Mrs. Michelle Bachelet, in which I pointed out that my rights were being rudely violated by the law enforcement agencies of Uzbekistan and asked her to protect my rights guaranteed by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Here is the appeal. The UN Regional Representative for Central Asia, Mr. Rishad Kamenda, in his reply letter explained me in detail the procedure for approaching the relevant UN entities. Here is the reply. Mr. Rishad Kamenda said that only after I have no low hope left for justice and all legal remedies in Uzbekistan have already been exhausted, only then I can directly apply to the UN. Following this recommendation, I had written to the General Prosecutor's Office of Uzbekistan, the Anti-Corruption Agency, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Business Ombudsman, Human Rights Organization, the Senate, the Oli Majlis, with a request to protect my legal rights. Here are these letters. However, the General Prosecutor Office sent me a formal reply to this letter, as well as to my other numerous letters. Some organization forwarded my appeal to Prosecutor General Office for consideration, and some, such as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, completely ignored and left my appeal without consideration. Respected President of Uzbekistan, Mr. Shavkat Mirziyoyev, in your recent speech as a member of the Council at the 46th session of the UN Human Rights Council has left a strong impression on me.
O'zbekiston inson huquqlari bo'yicha kengash a'zosi sifatida xalqaro huquqning inson huquqlariga oid umum e'tirof etilgan prinsip va normalarni qat'iy himoya qiladi va faol ilgari suradi.
The words in your speech gave me hope that my violated rights can be restored here in Uzbekistan, and I don't need to approach the UN Human Rights Committee. Please help me to restore justice and my legal rights. Once again, I want to highlight that my legal rights, which were rudely violated and continue to be violated by some of the staffs of the General Prosecutor's Office of Uzbekistan. Back in May 2018, the General Prosecutor's Office of Uzbekistan filed a criminal case against the director of Tibiot Dunyose, a limited liability company, Buriev Aslam, whom through outright fraud took possession of our goods and caused damages to a Singapore company, Profil Trading Private Limited, for an amount more than 1.3 million US dollars. When the criminal case was being investigated, I presented irrefutable documentary evidence to the prosecutor's office and fully proved Buriev's fraud. I have fully proved to the investigation that even at the very beginning of our business partnership, Buriev already had a criminal intent to seize the goods of our company. I had proved fully that he had already had this fraudulent plan at that time. Buriev in turn could not able to provide any single proof for his innocence. Once again I underline, Buriev in turn could not able to provide any proof for his innocence. Once again I underline this, Buriev did not have any evidence for his innocence then and even now. But surprisingly, the prosecutor office was quite comfortable with it. In addition, the documents in the criminal case clearly shows that Buriev committed fraud along with some other officials of the Ministry of Health of Uzbekistan. But the prosecutor's office took this fact superficially and formally. Later it became clear that corruption was the reason for this attitude. I have fully proved that Buriev committed his frauds together with one of the high-ranking officials of the Ministry of Health Uzbekistan, who had recently resigned from the ministry, but he did not stay long without a job. But now he is working as a deputy to Buriev in Tibet, USA. Just coincidence? It is, I think, not. I have completely proved that Buriev also has his offshore companies located abroad for fraudulent activities. In addition, the investigation of the criminal case, other corrupt activities of Buriev were revealed, which were also associated with the government institutions of Uzbekistan. I have officially reported this to the General Prosecutor Office of Uzbekistan and presented concrete facts and documentary evidence. Here is the information letter. But the General Prosecutor Office did not even verify those facts and failed to act on this letter. Later, I had officially twice reported to the Anti-Corruption Agency about the facts of corruption in the state institutions. Here are my letters. But the agency did not verify the facts of corruption in the state institutions associated with Buriev offshore companies either. The Anti-Corruption Agency was simply afraid to get involved with Buriev's case. Now I will explain the reason for this. Some Uzbek businessmen whom I know and other people who know Buriev had told me, and now also they say, that I can hardly achieve justice because Buriev has protectors and patrons who work in the highest government positions. They are everywhere, in the presidential administration, in the General Prosecutor's Office, in the Supreme Court, and in the state security service. Unfortunately, the words of this Uzbek businessman turned out to be true. I am fully convinced of this because investigators and prosecutors acting on the orders of Buriev's patrons are not at all afraid to openly ignore and break the law. Feeling the impunity, investigators and prosecutors rudely violating the law, rudely violating my rights, leaving all the evidence provided by me of Buriev's fraud without consideration, and making every effort to help Buriev to escape criminal punishment. I believe there is corruption here which works on the interests of Buriev. I have a lot of documentary evidence of corruption in the investigation of Buriev's criminal case. Now I will prove my words to you. I will start here first. According to the Uzbek laws, criminal investigations are conducted in one specific language. Usually it is in either Uzbek or in Karakalpak or in Russian. I do not understand Uzbek or Karakalpak languages at all, but I understand Russian poorly. I can only communicate briefly in simple words at the day-to-day level. In our case, it is unambiguously clear that the investigation was conducted in Uzbek language because the investigators' report and the act made by the financial audit against the import contract and the other important documents which are available in the criminal case are in Uzbek language, which I do not understand at all. Based on the law, on the basis of the simple logic, me as a foreigner, the investigator was obliged to provide an interpreter. But he didn't do it. Nowhere does it happen. In such a cases, a foreigner is not provided with an interpreter. It should not be like this, without any sense. It is simply unthinkable and defies any logic. I believe that investigator deliberately did not provide me with an interpreter. He did this such that I do not notice and not able to stop him from showing the unprovable and imaginary justifications of Buriev as the ultimate truth. Such I could, by legal means, hinder the investigator from saving Buriev of criminal liability. When we made the translation of one of the investigator's report, which is written, what's written there shocked me. The investigator, taking advantage of the fact that I do not understand the Uzbek language at all, he removed all the facts and evidences of Buriev's fraud in the text of the official report. The investigator also removed in the text of the final report all facts and evidences of Buriev's corrupt ties with the state institutions of Uzbekistan. The empty and without any proof deposition of Buriev and his accomplice were kept in the final report, showing them as facts. In addition, the text of the final report clearly shows that the investigator, taking advantage of the fact that I do not understand the language in which the investigation is conducted, when collecting, checking and evaluating the evidences for selfish reasons, by forgery and falsification, distorted the meaning and content of the final report in favor of Buriev. Already this, according to the law, is obviously a criminal offense. I had officially reported the criminal activities of the investigator to the General Prosecutor's Office. about this a number of times, but they again ignored those facts. The deception and the rude violation of my rights by the prosecutor's office do not end here. During the investigation of the criminal case, I, not through video conferencing, but right across the table, had a meeting with the Prosecutor General of Uzbekistan, Mr. Yuldashev. The Prosecutor General guaranteed me the protection of my rights and legitimate interests and informed me that action on Buryev's case would be carried out not through a criminal process but in an economic court. At that time, I did not understand Uzbek laws well, and it did not matter to me whatever the procedural way to receive money from Buryev for the goods delivered to him. Therefore, I agreed. Now I really regret that I agreed to this. Only now I realized that it was a trick which was planned by the prosecutor's office. I had every reason to make such a categorical conclusion. If you pay attention, you can see according to Uzbek laws in particular, on the basis of Article 49 of the Economic Procedural Code, the prosecutor's office itself has the right to file a claim suit in the economic court. I hope the prosecutor's office themselves will file a claim in the economic court as it is written in the law. But on the instruction of the Prosecutor General, it was decided that the claim in the economic court in our interest would be filed not by the prosecutor's office but by the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Uzbekistan. I like to draw your attention to this very important factor. On the directions of the Prosecutor General, one of the heads of the department of the General Prosecutor's Office came to the Chamber of Commerce and was personally engaged with the issue from beginning till end. Employees of the Chamber of Commerce can confirm this fact. Another very important factor, on the personal initiative of the particular prosecutor, it was decided that the claim to the economic court, the Chamber of Commerce would be filed in the interest of my Uzbek company, Profile Enterprise. I would like to remind you that the entire share of the authorized capital of this Uzbek company belongs to me and my Singapore company, Profile Trading. However, when the Supreme Court declared the cession agreement between Profile Trading and Profile Enterprise is not valid, I was extremely surprised that the prosecutor's office and the same prosecutor who are the main initiator of this session fully supported this unfair court decision and officially stated the assignment between my companies are allegedly wrong. Where is this logic? The prosecutor himself initiated this assignment and then denied from his own initiative. It was after that I realized that prosecutor office had ditched me. And here, with this instance of the investigator, in this case too, the corruption link between Buryev and prosecutor office is clearly visible. As I said before, the culpability of Buryev on criminal charges has been fully proven by me. From the verdict of the economic court, one can also see that they confirm the fact of Buryev's death to our company. I want to draw your attention to an important point. The economic court did not recognize only the cession, but not the debt of Buryev. Buryev's debt to our company is an indisputable fact. Now Buryev, taking advantage of the unawareness of the judges of the genuine situation, displays to everyone that this very decision of the court not recognizing the cession as final victory in the court for this debt. Likewise, Buryev demonstrates to everyone the illegal and baseless final report of the investigator in the criminal case and displaying himself as an innocent victim. Buryev did not limit himself to this. Guided by this slogan, offense is the best defense, he filed 2 lawsuits in the court. One, about the protection, dignity and business reputation. The other, about recovery for the amount of damages. If you look at these claims, they are absolutely baseless and the alleged arguments set out in them are unsupported facts created by Buryev. I really hope that while acting on the claims of Buryev, the Uzbek justice will be honest, objective and fair. I would also like to draw your attention to an important point. In the text of the lawsuit about protection, dignity and business reputation, you can clearly see that Buryev accidentally had a self-disclosure of a crime he had committed. The second claim suit also has a similar fact. Buriev, either because of a lapse or relying on his high-ranking patrons or due to overconfidence, reflected in the claim the actual circumstances of the case. Unexpectedly, fully confessed to committing a crime in one of the episodes of this criminal case. It should be noted that during the investigation of the criminal case, the investigator and Buriev himself carefully concealed the existence of the very fact. At the time, they tried in every possible way to get around this topic, which was extremely disadvantageous for them. But the fact remains, Buriev exposed himself and he must answer before the law. I believe that this fact, as well as the fact that I was not provided with an interpreter, are having sufficient grounds to reopen the investigation in the criminal case. Accordingly, I have immediately informed officially to the General Prosecutor Office about Buriev's self-disclosure of the crime. In addition to this, in order that I stop to defend my legal rights, apart from these claims, Buriev filed against me in no way baseless complaints alleging of defamation. Everyone who had faced injustice, including me, at present liked this relevant phrase of President of Uzbekistan, Mirziyoyev, about the vaccine of honesty. This phrase has become very popular everywhere and even abroad. And therefore, on my Facebook page, I wrote that to all prosecutors and judges who entered into a corruption link with Buriev, I will be vaccinating them with vaccine of honesty. Till then, the trump of law and justice takes place in our case. This is what Buriev considers defamation. Where is the defamation here? Having in my hands all evidence of Buriev's fraud and corruption ties, I am fighting for my legal rights, which have been rudely violated and no more. If Buriev believes that this is defamation, there is a criminal case against him. Let him prove defamation within the outlines of the criminal case. Buriev, as well aware that he does not have a single proof for his innocence and therefore prefers to make similar attacks from and around the corner. Respected President of Uzbekistan, Mr. Shavkat Mirziyoyev, on the basis of a resolution number PP 2697 dated December 23, 2016, about the investment program of the Republic of Uzbekistan for the year 2017, our company Profile Enterprise was given permission to open a pharmaceutical unit. Here is the resolution. We wanted to open this manufacturing unit in our own land site and industrial premises, which are located near Tasmoria in the village of Toya Bugis, Urtachirchik district, Tashkent region. For this purpose, we have imported a part of the equipments from our plant from China, India and Philippines. The rest of the equipments are awaiting its shipment to Uzbekistan. Our intention was to invest all the money received from Buriev for the goods supplied by us in the construction of the pharmaceutical unit. But Buriev, by means of fraud, seized all our money, totally disrupted our investment project, and in due course completely disrupted the implementation of your resolution. Respected President of Uzbekistan, Mr. Shavkat Mirziyoyev, please help me to restore justice and my legal rights in this criminal case and the deeds of Buriev's fraud, which has been rudely violated and continue to be violated by some of the staffs of the General Prosecutor's Office of Uzbekistan. Any honest and fair investigator who has not stuck in corruption, when he goes through this criminal case against Buriev, from the first page he will understand that Buriev's crime has been proven by irrefutable documentary evidence, and there are sufficient grounds to bring Buriev and others to criminal responsibility under several articles of the Criminal Code of Uzbekistan. Let them, first of all, provide me with an interpreter, which in particular stated in the law, and to conduct a comprehensive and objective investigation in this criminal case. While investigating the criminal case, let them not make decisions on the basis of empty speculations of Buriev and others, but on the basis of law and specific documentary evidences available in the criminal case. Let them, with the mandatory participation of an interpreter, conduct interrogations in front of parties, that is me, Buriev and others. I can easily prove all their crimes because the law is on my side. I remain realistic. I am fully aware that Buriev and his patrons will do their best, such not to reopen the investigation, the criminal case, to escape from criminal liability. Recent happenings show that this is quite possible. If this does happen, I have to ask the High Commissioner, Mrs. Michelle Bachelet, to consider that I have no hope for justice. I have exhausted all the legal remedies in Uzbekistan, and all the happenings already to be considered as a violation of my rights as affixed in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Thanking you. Best regards, Mohammed Ali Prem Nazir.